All right, let's talk about something we've all heard of, omega fats. You know the story, right? Omega-3s are the good guys and omega-6s are, well, they're the bad guys. But what if I told you that simple story is just plain wrong? Today, we're going to unravel the real and, frankly, much cooler story behind the omega paradox. I mean, this is the classic setup, isn't it? In one corner, you've got omega-6, the pro-inflammatory villain we get from vegetable oils, and in the other corner, you have the anti-inflammatory hero, omega-3, from oily fish. It's a nice, clean, simple narrative, but is it the truth? Not even close. In fact, thinking about it as a battle of good versus evil actually makes us miss the entire beautiful point of how our bodies are designed to work. The real story is so much more elegant than that. So to really understand what's going on, we have to properly introduce our main characters. Let's get to know them and their family. It turns out omega-3 and omega-6, they're not enemies. They're actually from the same family, called polyunsaturated fatty acids, or PUFAs for short. Now, the most important word on this slide is essential. That's a scientific way of saying our bodies literally cannot make them from scratch. We have to get them from food. So right away, the whole one is bad idea starts to crumble, doesn't it? Because by definition, we need both of them to live. Okay, so let's meet some key members. In the omega-3 branch of the family, you have ALA from plants, and then you have the heavy hitters, EPA and DHA, mostly from fish. Over on the omega-6 side, the main ones are LA from oils and AA from animal foods. Now, don't worry about memorizing this alphabet soup right now. Just tuck away EPA and DHA in the back of your mind. They're going to be the real superstars of our story.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This is the first big plot twist. Inside your body, both omega-3s and omega-6s are trying to use the exact same equipment, the same enzymes, to get their jobs done. It's not a war, it's more like siblings competing for the same video game console. And this competition is the key to, well, everything.
So if they're not good guys and bad guys, what are they? To get it, we need to completely shift our thinking away from just inflammation and toward a much more powerful idea, resolution. Check out this quote from a pioneering researcher. What he's saying here is that the stop signals for inflammation are just as important as the start signals. Think about it. You wouldn't want a smoke alarm that just shrieks forever, right? You need a way to turn it off once the danger has passed. That stopping part is an active, critical process.
And this is so important. Inflammation itself isn't bad. It's your body's essential first responder to an injury or an infection. The goal is never to have zero inflammation. The goal is to manage it, control it, and most importantly, to resolve it so your body can heal and get back to business.
So how does your body do that? How does it flip the switch from emergency back to all clear? Well, it uses an absolutely brilliant system built from the very fats we're talking about. Okay, get ready, because these are the real heroes of our story, specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPMs. This concept is a total game changer. These molecules aren't just anti-inflammatory, they are actively pro-resolution. They are the commanders that show up and actively direct the cleanup crew, telling inflammation to stand down and the repair process to begin. And where do we get the building blocks for these amazing molecules? You guessed it, primarily from those omega-3s, EPA and DHA. This diagram shows it perfectly. Look, when an injury happens, the body first uses things like omega-6s to kick off the pro-inflammatory response. That's the red zone. That's the alarm bell. But then a class switch happens. The body starts using omega-3s to create those pro-resolving SPMs. That's the blue zone, which actively shuts the whole process down and starts the healing. It's a beautiful, timed sequence.
Let's break it down with an analogy. Think of it like your body's own fire department. Step 1. An omega-6 derivative sounds the alarm. It screams, "Fire! Fire!" and gets the emergency response going. That's crucial. But then, step 2, the resolution crew arrives. And this crew is built from omega-3s. These are your SPMs. They don't just stand there. They actively put the fire out, clear away all the smoke and debris, and then call in the construction crew to start rebuilding. You need the alarm, but you absolutely have to have the crew that cleans up the mess.
So if we have this amazing built-in system, what's the problem? Why doesn't it always work perfectly? Well, the problem is that our modern diet has been messing with the supply chain. In this chart tells the whole story. For most of human history, our diets had a ratio of about 2 parts omega-6 to 1 part omega-3. Pretty balanced. But the modern Western diet? Whoa! We're looking at something like 15 to 1, or even higher.
We have flooded our bodies with the alarm bell molecules, and we're starving it of the resolution crew.
So you have to ask, right? How did we get so out of whack? Where did all this extra omega-6 suddenly come from?
Well, the main culprits are the highly refined vegetable oils that are now in, well, pretty much everything. They form the backbone of countless processed foods, mayos, and salad dressings. Again, it's not that these oils are evil, it's the sheer, overwhelming quantity. We're just getting way too much of them.
But here is the fantastic news. This is totally fixable. And it's not about declaring war on a nutrient. It's about consciously resupplying and strengthening our resolution team.
So here's your toolkit. On the left, you've got the sources for your resolution crew. Oily fish are the superstars for EPA and DHA, but you also have great plant sources like flax and walnuts. On the right, the alarm system. Notice there are lots of healthy foods in that column too, like poultry and eggs. The goal is never elimination. It's all about getting the balance right, which for most of us means focusing a lot more on that left-hand column.
So what does that look like in practice? A really great, simple target to aim for, based on UK health guidance, is 2 portions of fish every single week.
But, and this is the part that really matters, at least one of those portions has to be oily fish. You know, salmon, mackerel, sardines, that kind of thing. Why? Because that is your direct deposit of EPA and DHA, the most powerful raw materials for building your body's resolution crew.
All right, so let's tie this all together. It's time to throw out that old, busted story about good fats and bad fats for good.
The real fat story is not a fairy tale. Omega-6 isn't a villain, it's a vital alarm system. And omega-3 isn't just a simple hero, it's the specialized raw material for the crew that resolves the crisis and rebuilds. You absolutely need both. The problem isn't good versus evil, it's just a simple case of supply and balance. So in the end, it really comes down to this. Every meal you eat, you're literally delivering building materials to your body. You're giving it the supplies to build its own internal emergency response team. So the only question left is, what materials are you going to choose? Are you giving it enough stuff to just sound the alarm? Or are you also giving it what it needs to put out the fire and rebuild for tomorrow?